Greetings, ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to this subscriber replay courtesy of I Am Legend 2000. He is driving, I'm just going to take control of the camera for a minute, the 110 Tier 8 Chinese heavy tank. However, his isn't fully upgraded. That is the 122mm gun you get from the IS-2 at Tier 7. So it's a bit like playing for those people, because I appreciate most people probably haven't gone down the Chinese line, it's a bit like playing the IS-3. Oh no, you go first. No, I'll go first. You go first. How very gentlemanly of them. It's a bit like playing the IS-3 stock with the gun from the IS. It's quite a painful experience. You've got that 175 average pen, 390 alpha, terrible accuracy, terrible aim time, terrible gun soft stats. It's a pretty awful gun on a Tier 8 tank. Now the Chinese equivalent does get 250 pen heat ammo as a premium round, and you can see I Am Legend here is actually using the same ammo loadout that I used on my 110 when I was grinding through it with the 122mm gun. 20 AP, 10 heat, 5 HE. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that he's top tiering on a city map. And heavy tanks do, generally speaking, like city maps. So, now, this is an interesting position. The 110's frontal armour is very good, it's just the lower plate you have to be careful of. And with this bit of rubble here in front of him, Legend is actually covering up his lower plate. Now the other thing you have to be wary of with the armour on the 110 is that it has this pike nose, so it's pre-angled. So generally speaking, you don't really want to angle the front of this tank like you would in a German machine. And the pike nose on this tank is far, far superior to the pike nose on the IS-3. So generally speaking, especially when you're a top tier like this, if you can keep, nice shot into the side there, if you can keep your pike nose straight towards the enemy, and cover up your lower plate, both of which Legend is doing here, then you will bounce most of the things that come towards you. The only weak spots then remaining are your commander's hatches. So frontally, the 110 is very tough. Now I would like to say, I found grinding this thing with the 122mm gun very painful. But when you get the Top Gun, it completely transforms this machine, and when you get the Top Gun, this is an absolute joy to play. Anyway, on to the game in hand. So far, Legend has taken a couple of shots, one of which missed. That was a little bit of a risk, showing his rear like that. The IS-3 could have been looking at him, but he judged that the IS-3 would be engaging the Tiger, and he was right. And he's put another shot into the side of that IS-3. 175mm of penetration is going to struggle with the IS-3 frontally, but from the side, not too much of a problem. And the IS-3 flubs his shot. And Tiger 2 saunters over and executes the IS-3. And for the next minute or two, it's going to be a nice bit of teamwork between Legend and this Tiger 2. Team is losing 4-6, by the way. Yeah, go figure. Just think of it as an opportunity to have a good game when your teams suck. So, there's a Tiger 2. That Tiger 2 has the stock turret. The stock turret on that tank is trash. You can penetrate it any day of the week, frontally, with this gun. The effective armour on the front of that turret is 100 to 110mm. It's garbage. So, Tiger 2 is engaging this enemy Tiger 2 from one angle. That leaves Legend, come around the side. God knows where that shot went. I mean, just what? Whatever. Tiger 2 is on 501 health. Legend's friendly Tiger 2 is now on a dangerous position of health. I liked what Legend did there. He waited until he had the rear of the Tiger 2 just to make sure that that shot penetrated. Well, that's what he appeared to do. Maybe that was just luck, but that's what he appeared to do from my perspective, which I thought was really good. So that's the Tiger 2 dealt with, and now the team is winning 8-6, which is nice, but there's plenty of bad guys left to do something about. So, Legend is coming around this way. There's a Hellcat that has been last spotted over to the right, T-150 over to the left, so this could be a little bit of a problem if those two guys kind of try and do a pincer movement, and there's the T-28 over there as well. Now, so far that T-150 hasn't been respotted, so take advantage of it. Legend has to be a little bit careful here, but thankfully none of the bad guys are looking at him. He judges that the T-28 is a bigger threat, so puts a shot into him. Quite wise. The gun on the Hellcat is going to struggle to penetrate the 110 frontally, unless he loads APCR, whereas the T-28 can do it. So, second shot into the T-28, and that puts him on rather low health. Hellcat comes around, Legend wiggles, Hellcat bounces. Doesn't have a good shot on the T-28, and now the T-150 makes his appearance and executes the Tiger II that Legend was working with, which is a bit of a nuisance. Friendly team is now once again losing, 8 kills to 10. Legend comes around this corner, straightens up his armour. You should probably straighten that up a little bit more. The frontal armour on this tank is only 120mm thick. You do rely on that pike nose, on that angling. But nonetheless. Now, in this engagement, I would suggest that Legend finally takes his first point of damage, should have picked a target and concentrated it down. What he did was put 2 shots into the T-28, then a shot into the Hellcat, then went back and finished the T-28, then finished off the Hellcat. If he'd concentrated on one opponent at a time, he could have removed a gun from the enemy team sooner. That's all I'm getting at. Nonetheless, nicely played. He managed to kill those 2 guys, and then the T-150 makes an appearance. I like this. He does not turn around to engage the T-150. He just gets out of there and then engages him on his own terms, rather than having his rear or his broadside toward that T-150. Now the T-150 puts a shot in there, and it's into the lower plate. Bounces a shot on the T-150 there, and this is kind of the optimal engagement range for the 110. So that your plate, lower plate is angled such that it is difficult for them to penetrate you. Alas, if he couldn't stay there because the VK was shooting him in the rear. So, closed the distance on the T-150, got lucky setting him on fire, but it looked like the T-150 was packing a premium fire extinguisher, alas. Not that it's going to do him much good because he's dead. Friendly team is still losing. So, 11 kills to 12. We know where the VK is, he's just over there, and he's a 1 or a 2 shot depending on how things go. T-29 nails the enemy KV-85, leaving things evened up in terms of numbers, although in terms of tier, if you will, the friendly team has a slight advantage. 2 tier 8s and a tier 7 versus 2 tier 7s and a tier 8. So, we know roughly where that VK is going to be unless he's run. Nope, there he is. I would prioritise the stereo mill at this point. As it turns out, the stereo mill has the stock gun, but the gun on that tank, either way, is much more of a threat to Legend than the gun on the VK. So I would have prioritised the stereo mill, and he seems to hesitate here a little bit before executing the guy. Also, I wouldn't close the distance here. The VK is going to be more mobile, more manoeuvrable, it's a medium tank, than the 110. If you can keep that guy at close-ish range, engaging frontally, he has almost no chance of penetrating you. This sort of range is excellent. Getting right in close and personal just gave the VK a shot into Legend's side. Having said that, the VK was panicking there, and Legend executes him. And that just leaves a Borsig. Now, Legend is loading a heat shell, not because he needs a heat shell to take out the Borsig, but because he's run out of armor piercing. He's shot enough bad guys that he's run out of AP ammo, and there goes the Borsig for his top gun. Couple of things to say about that. Firstly, if I were to give advice, I would say, Legend, be a bit more wary of how you're angling or not angling your armor towards your opponents. The 110 is a tank that likes to engage people at close-ish ranges, not point blank, close-ish, close to medium ranges, so that they don't have easy shots on your weak spots, but you can pummel them. And it likes to engage them frontally so that pike nose can bounce everything. The side armor on the tank is not great, especially when it's flat on. Don't try and get into a close range brawl with medium tanks, just keep them at that sort of close to medium range and work them down. However, holy cow. 110, without the top gun, using that terrible, trust me from experience, it is terrible, 122mm gun, 6 kills, a top gun, over 5,000 damage, more than 1,500 base XP, which is well above the threshold for an ace tanker in this machine. I've got my ace in the 110, and it was not as much experience as that. there was a bit of luck at various points, but damn, that was a sweet result. Very, very well done to you, Legend. Absolutely awesome. Take a look at the post-battle results, guys. Gape in awe at the amount of damage he did as a tier 8 heavy tank, and the amount of carrying he had to do. I hope you guys enjoyed that game. Thank you very much, Legend, for sending it in. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to send in replays of your own if you want to. Just, you know, upload them to whatreplays.com. Send me a PM on YouTube with the link to your replay on What Replays. Give me a brief description, you know, why you think the game's cool, what you think was awesome about it. And if you like this video, by all means go and watch some of my others and or subscribe to the channel. And as ever, I wish you all very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.